gentlemen, welcome back to Rewind Wrestling Radio, right here on the Rewind Wrestling Network, where I, your host Ted, along with my co-hosts, the new mouth of the South, Tyler Peters, the Brazilian giant Vinicius, the temptress witch Ivy, and the senior ref Amy Veronica, talk everything pro wrestling. It's the indies, the pros, everywhere you go. Let's jump right into Rewind Wrestling Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Rewind Wrestling Radio Show, right here on the Rewind Wrestling Network. I'm your host, Ted, and I'm here with the normal cast of characters, except for Nelio. And this week, it's a shame that Nelio can't be here because we have someone who is debuting in CCW, their very first match this coming weekend. We filmed this show on Thursdays. You're hearing this on Monday, so this past weekend she had her first match. But I'm not going to give the official introduction. I'm going to give that to our CCW person here this week, Ref Amy. Ref Amy, bring us in here.
Woo! Yes, so we have on the podcast Miss Tiffany Nieves, who started with me and I've been training with her for a year now almost, right?
Oh yeah. My God. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Ted said, she's making her debut against Leela Gray.
Yes.
Last Saturday when this premieres. So welcome, Tiffany.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the awesome introduction. You don't only ref, but you now introduce, and I like it. You're good at it.
Absolutely.
No, I'm not.
Absolutely. She's gonna take Tyler's job in Nashville. She's gonna do the ring announcing. You know?
I voted.
She will.
Hey, you can take my job in Nashville and be the ring announcer since I'm retiring.
Hey, I'm fine. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, I'll tell you what, we want to get into some questions, but first, I mean, the number one question is, you've been training for a year. You're about to have your first match. There are for every great story there is about someone having success in wrestling. Okay, there's horror stories of how people get treated in wrestling. What made you search out a wrestling school to want to get involved?
That's so funny. Right? You got to be on something to want this type of lifestyle. That's one question I get asked, and sometimes the more I answer the question, there's another gem I remember about it. But I had just moved to Hollywood, Florida, and I remember sitting on the couch, and it was during COVID, and I was just extremely plateau with my life. I had just accomplished a lot of things on my list, and one thing that I always wanted to do was become a stunt woman or get into film. And I remember watching John Wick 3 had just come out, and it was the best movie I have seen in a while, and I became obsessed with wanting to be the girl version of Keanu Reeves. And I was like, I don't really want to start with guns, but he's really badass. I can say ass on here, right? So I was like, where are the Holly Berries at anymore? They're not here. And living in South Florida, there's art and influence in movies everywhere. So I thought, let's get into when was the last time I did something so active? And I don't know, wrestling just popped in my head. I don't know. It's just, as a young kid, I watched wrestling, and a lot of action went down on the couch. So it's no surprise that I was just sitting on the couch contemplating about life, and it just said wrestling. Mm-hmm. So I Googled wrestling near me on Google, and a couple schools came up, but CCW was one of them. And I was super impressed with how they ran their page and social media. And I always make this joke, being in your 20s, when something is free, you like it. It doesn't matter if you need it, you want it, all you read is free. So I remember it said, come in, try in one free class. And I was like, yeah. I was feeling the high of life. I was like, look at me being exciting. Like, I'm not boring, I'm signing up for wrestling class. And that was just enough. And I remember that same day, within 2 hours, I got a phone call from the one, the only Nelio. Mm-hmm. And he, right on the spot, just told me if I had any balls to my name, I would show up that day, right now, on the spot. And he didn't say it like that, but he said it like that. He was like, well, I get a random phone call, and being a massage therapist, that's very frequent that I get new clients. So I'm picking up the phone. I'm like, hello, this is Tiffany. How can I help you? And he's like, oh, this is Nelio from Coastal Championship Wrestling. I'm like, whoa.
Wait, hold on. I need you to stop for 1 second and do that impersonation one more time.
Wait, what do I need to do?
Do that impersonation one more time, please.
He was just like, oh, God. He's like, hello, this is Nelio from Coastal Championship Wrestling.
That's great. That is a sounder. I am marking that down. Thank you.
And he just knew what he was doing. He sounded like a salesman. I remember my heart beating extremely fast because I felt like immediately I went from being on the couch to being in an interview. And he immediately wanted to know everything about my life. Not really, that's how it felt. He's just like, so what got you into wrestling? And I thought, this is the moment you're supposed to know yourself. You're supposed to tell him why you thought about wrestling. Do you tell him you just are randomly on the couch thinking about how you want to kick ass like John Wick? Like, is that what you want to tell him? So I remember telling him, like, hey, I promised myself a fitness challenge. I came up with something like I wanted to stay fit for the next 30 days. He was like, well, that's perfect. We're going to Nashville Wednesday, but if you come in today, we can give you the best first day. I'm like, wait there, buddy. I'm thinking to myself, like, I'm not going to tell him I'm a PUSSY. Like, I don't know if I'm committed to this. I'm just going to come up with, I'm not prepared. I don't do anything day of. And what requirements will I need for my first day of training? Because obviously I don't have them. He tells me, you only need yourself. I was just like, wow. I'm thinking sometimes I need athletic sneakers or a certain type of uniform, or I have to finish a course, or maybe have a COVID test, that says I'm negative, something. And he had nothing. He was just like, you just bring yourself. You just bring yourself. And when he told me myself had to show up, I felt so challenged. And he ended the phone call with saying, well, if you're committed to doing that 30-day challenge, you'll be here today.
Yep, that's our guy.
I remember looking at the phone like, I'll be there. I remember my heart beating like, what the hell did I just get myself into? But I felt this heartbeat of excitement and challenge. And I remember the first day ever, I went to the school, Coastal Championship Wrestling. I believe Amy was there.
Yeah.
Yes, and I never left. I was crazy enough to never leave, and here I am today, debuting, already have debuted, and already having my first match, and that story of how I debuted also has a lot to do with Nelio. So,
No, it's crazy. Like, your story is very similar to mine, because I messaged Coastal Championship Wrestling asking, like, do you guys need help with your social media? Like, I can do some writing for you guys. And Nelio called me. He's just like, yeah, come into practice. And I thought we were going to talk about that. And he was just like, just get in the ring. I was like,
yes, just get in the ring. You'll be great. I remember he told me I would sit and watch. I was ready to bring a notebook. I think I did bring a notebook and a pen and paper.
Bring a notebook.
I did. Yeah, I brought a notebook. I'm like, I'm here to write. He's like, get in the ring. Get in the ring. It was just so crazy, but I've never been happier. It was the best crazy couch decision I've ever made in my life.
That's an awesome story.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that Nelio did an interview with you while you were sitting on your couch, because now we can make all kinds of casting couch jokes.
I hope so.
Yes. Hold on.
works,
Wait a minute. You
No
mean to
comment.
tell me the attention is going to be off me? The casting couch jokes are not going to go to me right now. Oh my God.
Sorry.
I'm so thrilled about. No. I am happy about this because I constantly get the casting couch jokes. Constantly.
Really? How does that come up? What?
Oh, we find ways.
You don't want to know.
We
I
find
don't
ways.
want to.
Oh man, so that's absolutely awesome. But I do want to turn this over to my co-hosts and let them ask some questions. And so Tyler is our resident question guy. Like he's the one. Whenever we're about to have an interview, we say, Tyler, we need you to write up the questions for tonight. And he goes, okay.
Tyler does the homework. We all copy.
That's right.
Oh, I love
That's
that.
absolutely right. That's fantastic. He's the
Happy
smart
to
guy
do
in
it,
class.
yeah.
So Tyler, I'm going to turn this over to you first, and I'm going to let you ask your first question here, bud.
Yeah, Tiffany, I'm interested to what advice would you give to anybody aspiring to be a ring announcer? I mean, I would love to know that myself, because I know, Ted, you've done it. I've got a chance, an opportunity with CCW to do it in Nashville. So that's a lot harder than what people think it is. And I'm just interested, any kind of takeaways you can give to our audience about that, ways to approach ring announcing.
Okay, so I would say two things really helped me get far when it came to ring announcing. It was one, connecting with the crowd, your audience, find little ways to connect with them, and then connect with your wrestlers. Doing both is really going to make an even better show. And when you can connect with the wrestlers and who their characters are, even, the pronunciation of their names and why they like it pronounced that way or why they're from where they are gives you a lot more room for creativity. And the more you're creative, the more the audience and the wrestling fans can get into it. So those are two things I would say that help you. And everything just flows from there. Be yourself, connect with the crowd and connect with the wrestlers. And, you know, don't force anything. People are going to love you and people are going to hate you. Either way, that's a part of entertainment.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. That was very good. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's also big facts. Like, I remember the first time I got heat when I was in the ring doing an interview, and people were like getting ready to throw things at me because I was saying that their guy was going to lose.
Were you devastated, or were you like, yeah, that's right?
No, I loved it. I loved it. The first time I got heat, it was incredible. That's a story for off air, though, because that's a company that shall not be named.
It's scary. I've heard stories about like people getting heat so bad to the point where they have to be careful going to their car because one time a fan has thrown a rock at their window and broke it. Yep. And they were ecstatic about it. They were like, yeah, I got heat so bad, my window's broken. What? Oh, thank you. It is not that extreme. Please don't follow me to the parking lot. Do not, please.
I'm sure Nelio is going to give you an escort out. I'm sure Nelio will give you somebody. He'll say, Amy, go walk her out to her car.
Yeah. I'll fight him right there. I'll meet Amy there to count 1, 2, 3, and that's it.
Boom.
That's it.
Boom. All right, I'm going to turn this over to the Temptress Witch, Miss Ivy.
Thank you so much, Ted, for finally giving me a moment to speak because, you know, it's not often that you allow me to do that. No, I'm just kidding. Ted is usually pretty good. If I can get the cat over here to cooperate. There we go.
I love it. I have a cat too. I don't know if I should pick her up.
I have 3 of them and they're great. But okay, so like your story is actually pretty similar to mine, just kind of having gotten thrown into things. And I've discussed that a little bit like in previous episodes, so I'm not going to go into detail with that. But I would like to know, just with your experience and getting just kind of thrown in and like, you know, what do you think about the wrestling business overall? Like, what are some of the things that you've learned and experienced, you know, over the last year that you've been dealing with it?
Okay, so before I get into that, it's very interesting that you can relate to being thrown into things. And I want to make it very known in this podcast that what I'm learning through my experience is although I'm getting thrown into it, does not discredit my interest or passion for wanting the challenge. It's more of like, you learn along the way a lot about courage and doubt and taking risk, and getting thrown into it is just a form of super encouragement by your peers in your environment. So it doesn't mean that you didn't want it. And that's something for me, I can definitely say, like, I was thrown into some things, but I am so thankful because I wasn't ready any other way. And the more I get thrown into things, the more I start having courage to say, you know what, I want it. But it doesn't mean it's not something I want. You know, to do wrestling, you have to have a lot to do. To pursue wrestling, you have to like breathe it, bleed it, embrace it, cry it on the top of your lungs, all that. So I want to say that for sure. And I'm sure you can relate, right? Everything you've been thrown into, you've just been like, you get on the other side and you're like, thank God I loved every part of it, right?
Yeah, no, I definitely I like that you think about it that way because that's kind of how I do too. And even though I haven't had like the greatest experience over 10 years with dealing with the business, it's still one of those things that I'm like, yeah, I was like 14, I think, when I started to get involved. So yeah, I'm a little bit crazy, and I think that's crazy for allowing me.
I need to remember to listen to some of your podcasts. That's pretty freaking cool. So the question was, what have I, sorry.
No, you're good. You're as bad as me over here trying to rummage through things.
The cats are like so happy there's gift paper next to me, and that was the biggest mistake I could have done during an interview. So the question was, what have I really learned, or I'm sorry.
Just overall, like some of your insight and experiences having, you know, kind of jumped into it and not had like years and years of training and stuff before getting to debut.
Oh my goodness. Oh gosh, how do I answer?
Did I break you already?
Boy, what do you learn? You learn, this is so generic maybe, but I think it's very, all right, funny story, what I learned. Oh my, I'm not really crazy. That's what I've learned. That's the stuff. So, I got my gear for my first match on Monday, and I remember putting on the shorts, and immediately I love the designer. Koi is the best. Shout out to Koi for doing my work. I remember, I can say the story. He has to listen to it entirely. I put the shorts on, and I immediately said, I hate it. Oh my gosh, what's going on? This is not, how did I not turn into The Rock? Like, what happened? Like, I put these shorts on and I'm not the wrestler that I've been training to be every day or work. This is not Tiffany Nieves. So I remember immediately getting into bed, texting Elio, thank you so much for the connection. I hate the gear. This is not it. I just don't know what to do and I'm devastated. And he's like, oh man, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, are you sure? Have you put it all on? And I'm just sitting in bed, and I had just hung up on FaceTime my boyfriend as I'm trying. I'm like, I gotta go. This is just not working out. And I finally, the thing is, I only had the shorts on. So I look at the rest of the gear, and I'm like, I guess I'll put it on. And as I'm putting on the shirt, I'm like, hold on. And I'm putting on the sleeves. And I'm like, okay. And I'm putting on the other sleeve. I felt truly activated. I was like, this is it. This is the best. I fell in love with it in seconds. I was like, this is the I love that. I felt like the wrestler in myself, and it's just like it was a huge metaphor to how wrestling works. There's so many little pieces that need to be together for you to see the big picture in wrestling, and right away you don't see it, but you have to trust the process. You have to trust the process within yourself, and it was the same thing with my gear. Immediately, I did one step out of, I think, 5 to 6 pieces I had. I only put one piece on, and I immediately expected to have abs drawn in and muscles this big and look the part. And I'm just like, when I put all the remaining 6 parts on, it looked good all together. And I think wrestling's the same way. Honestly, so that's what trust the process. Yeah.
Oh, you can't say that. We're from Philly, and it's not going so well.
Oh, God.
All right, so I want to turn it over to Ref Amy. She's batting cleanup tonight, and kind of, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right.
So you mentioned earlier that you were a fan of wrestling growing up. Who were like the big names that you were a fan of, and those big moments that you remember?
Okay, so I was definitely a huge fan of Shawn Michaels. I loved his really confident attitude, and he was definitely, what he did in and out of the ring and how he did his promos and how he literally walked and talked the talk. Really, that guy did it all. I definitely have to say, I'm not gonna lie, I grew up in a very conservative household, so seeing Trish Stratus half naked all the time did something to me. I was just like, whoa.
I think it did something to all of us.
Yeah, I have to be honest. I'm not gonna lie. That has made me feel like I question a lot of things, like, oh.
It was more noticeable outwardly for Tyler and I. It's okay,
Well, yeah, I got to admit, when she came out, I was like, oh, I've got to watch this. I'm not trying to just being honest. Hey,
I'm being honest. I hope we're being honest here. And I went to Catholic school, so it really blew my socks off. Seriously.
Sounds like a Billy Joel song.
So, and it was really cool how she could personify this really beautiful hot girl look, sexy look, but also be tough. The way she walked out, I'm sorry to say, she walked out very masculine. What we say in Spanish, she had this very machismo attitude, but very sexy, soft voice when she spoke. And it was really cool to see a woman be able to do that. I love Rey Mysterio. I definitely love Eddie Guerrero. I was a huge fan of John Cena, I have to say it. But after 2005, I think 2006, when I moved with my father, he didn't understand why I wanted to watch men wrestle, and he refused to pay for pay-per-views. So those are some of my favorites back in the day when I was younger, and I would, play the games with my siblings or whatnot. I know there's a bunch of other people I'm definitely not recognizing, like, I like The Big Show just because of his character work, Triple H, of course, but nowadays I watch a lot of different networks. Like back in the day, I only watched WWE, so you have AEW, you have Ring of Honor, you have people that's no longer around, Lucha Underground. That was my favorite thing when it was on. So I really like Ivelisse up to current date if we're talking about females. Mm-hmm. And we have Davey Richards coming at CCW, so I've been watching a lot of his stuff, and I really am a big fan. He's very technical, on point. I like Adam Cole. He's really good. I like, let's see. It's a little mix. I like people who really are great with connecting with the crowd, but also physically bringing it when they get in the ring, you know.
Mhm.
Not being an entire gimmick, but also not being a spot monkey, but just like really getting down to the grits. So
Awesome.
Excellent. And you just named like a giant mix of people. And it's fantastic. I mean, like, listen, there's so many people that are in like the fuck Cena camp. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't be, because to somebody he is appealing. You know what I mean? And I feel that way about almost everyone. I didn't feel that way about Cameron Grimes until recently. You know, Cameron Grimes, I was like, yeah, he can work, but you know. And then recently, I've been much more into him with everything going on with LA Knight and everything. But you know, there are a lot of people that are just like they're so anti somebody, like, oh, he can't work or he can't wrestle or whatever. You know, he can't talk. But to somebody, they're appealing, or else they wouldn't be on TV.
absolutely, you know? Everyone has an itch. You know, everyone has a certain look and a certain thing they're interested in.
That's right. That's right. That cat is gonna scratch your face.
You know what? She's getting on my nerves because she keeps like rubbing up against the wire to my ring light. And I'm afraid she's going to knock it over.
For our listeners who are not watching on YouTube, first of all, you should be watching on YouTube, and you should like, comment, share, and subscribe. But for those of you who are not watching on YouTube, Ivy's cats often make an appearance, and this one is trying to sabotage her filming right now. And which one is this?
Really, what is this, an OnlyFans? Cats tend to make the appearance. Like, wait a second, what are we advertising here? If you're not watching, it's a literal cat, we swear.
Yep, we got lots of pussy on here. So.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I mean, listen, Tyler and I are outnumbered tonight. I mean, listen.
Yeah, we are. I mean, hey, we got to be prepared. We're
perfect. It's perfect. Well, I'll ask the heated question right now. You know, you're going into, it's Thursday night. You're going to be wrestling on Saturday, right?
Yeah, Saturday. It's only a couple days away.
Yeah. So obviously the butterflies have to be going at this point. You know, you have to be starting to feel a certain type of way. Do you have you know, I teach music, right? So I teach performance, and I understand exactly what it's like to have those butterflies until you walk through, you know, walk out and take your bow and do what you're going to do, right? Have you prepared your little niche? Have you prepared your little pregame ceremony to get you in the zone and ready to get past those nerves yet?
I think the second you figure out how to do that is the second you stop loving it. There's some type of like addiction to the adrenaline you can't control right before a match, I'm pretty sure. And as much as you try to get control of it, I think control is realizing you cannot control it. And that's when you're free. And I know what I'm facing now, it'll probably be intensified on Saturday, is the feeling of excitement that my brain can only handle this much excitement. And if you can see the light here, and I have this much excitement. So what it does is the excitement goes beyond this point and then starts going into the nervousness and then awkwardness and whatever else my brain is not like, doesn't have, it just goes into all these places. So, I mean, I like to definitely say a nice prayer. I think having, some great fans. Bash at the Brew. I mean, Amy, you're there. Bash at the Brew is one of the best crowds I've been in front of, and they support me
They're
so much. So I think just knowing like I'm down and game for anything that happens in that ring, and knowing that I'm giving my best in that fight is the only thing I can do, you know, and say my prayer before. And I'm glad that this podcast, I guess I've done some audio only, so I'm happy that it's video too. So my face will still look like this Monday, guys. Trust me.
Ooh, I like it.
Takes a lot of confidence.
Sell it.
Hell yeah.
Sell it. All right, let's bring it back around. I'm going to come back to the new mouth of the South, Mr. Tyler Peters.
Yes, Tiffany, I was going to ask you, you know, the wrestling community can be good and bad at the same time, and especially the wrestling media, not naming any names. How do you take that kind of criticism? I mean, has anybody been, you know, ugly to you? I mean, how do you combat that? Do you just ignore it? I mean, what's some advice for wrestlers that you pay attention too much to the internet, to social media? Because, I mean, we've all said it on this panel. I mean, sometimes that's the worst thing. I mean, keyboard warriors. I mean, let's just call them out.
Yeah, honestly, and they're out there, and sometimes they're in your own locker room sometimes. And I think what you have to address is like it's the same thing as getting heat, being a baby face and a heel. If you're not getting a reaction, you're not doing anything. You know what I mean? So whether it's good or bad, the thing that's the most important is what's going on in your own mind. Keep pushing through. You know why you're doing it. You're not doing it for the praise or the hate for anyone. People are always going to say something. I know we've all heard it. You could have the best apple tree in the world, and there's still going to be someone out there that says, I hate apples. And that's it. That's it. Can't do anything about it.
That's a very accurate description of every keyboard warrior out there.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Let me see you do it. Come and face me. Let's go. Like, you won't. You'll stay where you're at, and that's okay. And I'll keep going. So there's no worries. There's no worries. And, you know, I'm very, 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 very close with the block button. Very close. Like, boom, I'll just block you. For every one person, there's another 100 that are going to love what you're doing, whether it's me wrestling or this podcast, you know. So you just disregard it.
That's a great outlook. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Awesome. Ivy, look.
What? I'm looking.
I love
Oh,
that.
yeah, kitties.
Oh my God.
Look what you
look at
did.
them.
Look what you did. They want to hang
love
out.
them.
They
They
smell
are
your-
beautiful. They need to hang out. Yes. Absolutely. You're welcome. I love it. Okay, so like we've been talking about your debut and like how big this is for you, but I kind of want to like branch into the future a little bit. So who are some of the competitors that you are looking forward to having further matches with down the line?
Okay, I have two people in mind. So I would love to do intergender matches, and I always joke around. I know I really joke around, but I would love to have a match. If it was intergender, I would love to have a match against the one and only Will Austin, of course, because I've been no, seriously, I got some real beef and heat with him. But aside from that, the girls, I would definitely like Christy James. She comes to CCW pretty often. She's a phenomenal worker. And as I said before, Ivelisse, she was recently on the last that we've seen her on AEW. Those are two people that I would love to work because they're phenomenal workers. You can see they put so much passion and heart into it, and they are big risk takers in the ring, and I love that. So those are some people in the future I'd love to have the opportunity to work.
That's great. Christy's actually part of our Rewind family, and we all love her as well.
Really? Yeah, she's great energy, good people. Seriously.
Absolutely.
And the reason why I'm not saying, I also included Will. He's also my boyfriend, but I didn't say it because he's my boyfriend. But he also has the characteristics that the two ladies that I just named have, and they challenge you when you get in the ring to do things out of your comfort level and bring the best out of you. Like they demand it out of you. And those are the type of wrestlers that any day I would shake hands and love to wrestle. And I have to say, in a way, Layla Gray did the same thing for me. Even if it's negative, like, you know, what she's done to me has forced me to step up and stick up for myself and not back down. And I can respect anyone who brings that out in me, whether it's in a malicious way or a very positive way.
Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Great answer.
Yeah.
Great answer. And Amy's going to get the last question before we have to take our break here. So,
All right.
Amy.
So, we started around the same time, and like being with CCW, we have been fortunate enough through like all the promotion that we do to become in contact with a lot of different people that we never would have dreamed of being able to meet. Like, I know for me, I was totally starstruck when I met Bill Alfonso for the first time. I was a big ECW fan, and I'm like, oh, this is the guy from the network that I used to binge watch ECW. Wow, this is weird. So who was that person for you? Who was like the person that you met and you had to take a second to be like, wow, this is my life now?
Oh, so I have to say, I want to give you credit, Amy. I had no idea we kind of started around the same time because you literally hit the floor running when it came to refereeing. Like, you hit the floor running.
Oh, yeah. They just threw me in there.
You're one of CCW's greatest referees, so I can't believe with the amount of stuff you've been doing, like 6 months ago, wow, let's give it to you. So that part. I don't want to burst your bubble, but I don't feel like I've had that. Are you saying just at CCW? Like,
or just in general through wrestling?
I know this sounds so lame, but so since I'm new in this world, I've been very protected. CCW brings a lot of big time guests, and I haven't been starstruck yet. I think I'm gonna feel that way this weekend during the QT seminar. I for sure feel that way, because of the position this seminar can place a lot of people in. It's demanding you again to bring the best out of you, and that makes you feel. CCW has brought a lot of big, great names. I think for me, what was something that I really enjoyed was meeting Super Crazy, and having him teach a couple times. But it's really hard. I haven't had that moment yet. I mean, Davey Richards has got to be like the person I keep saying, because I discovered him. I took a pause in watching wrestling when I had to pay my own cable bill. I have to be honest. So that for me. But now that I'm going through the process of reconnecting with wrestling, I think I truly felt a little struck when I met Ivelisse at her seminar. I got to meet her, and I remember feeling like I was going to cry after her seminar because we were having a heart-to-heart, and I felt so understood. And the fact that it was by a woman in the industry, it just felt very like wholesome for me. So.
Hell yeah.
I know I keep saying Ivelisse, but like seriously, she's great. For me,
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, my friends, listen, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back and we're going to keep talking with Tiffany right around the corner about her upcoming debut with CCW Coastal Championship Wrestling. Before we head off to break, I do want to just remind you all to please go and help out Bryce Norton, our little 2-year-old warrior fighting leukemia. You can find the GoFundMe page for that in our link tree. And please, please, please go and get your tickets for Coastal Championship Wrestling at ccwrestlingfl.com/events. The tickets are going fast and up through October already. So please make sure you go and do that. But folks, we'll come right back, and around the corner, we'll be finishing up our interview here with Tiffany. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, remember to go over to whatamaneuver.net to get all of your Rewind Wrestling Network apparel, where you can get that all in the shop. It's labeled Rewind Wrestling Network, and you can find that over on the left-hand corner of the screen. And you can get your Ivy Fan shirt, your Tyler Ticker shirt, or your OG It's Time to Rewind shirt. They're available in multiple sizes, mostly on black tees. However, you can customize your order, which you can find by scrolling down to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen once you've selected a garment. Remember, you can find this all at whatamaneuver.net, and the link is in our link tree on every episode.
For 17 years, the dominant force in professional wrestling in South Florida has been Coastal Championship Wrestling. Join us every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, for the best weekly episodic professional wrestling in America.
Long ago, there was a girl. She was different from the rest. With ocean eyes, she drew in temptation at its best. But the world was cold unto her ways, her power made them weak. So she withdrew into the woods, only to hear the earth speak. For years and years she walked along silently on this path. Misunderstood for so long, the time would come to unleash her wrath. It was in her days of lurking, she would practice, she would grow. Nature would whisper softly, the darkness became her home. But now the veil is lifting, it's time to hear her voice. You will listen as she speaks.
I no longer have a choice, for magic runs within my veins. I am no longer hushed. I have been called by the universe. All I need is your trust. As I transcend from the shadows, I'll be watching as you sleep. Your peaceful slumber fulfilling my needs, as your soul is mine to keep. Beware the sound of silence and the night sky as it's humming, for in the moonlight casting down, the temptress witch is coming.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Rewind Wrestling Radio. We are here around the corner, and we are still having our interview with the debuting Tiffany Nieves, right? Did I say it right?
Perfect.
Yeah. Ka-chow. So we are coming up on the last portion of the interview here, but before we get there, I want to make sure I do a couple of quick plugs here. As you guys saw on the commercial break there, or if you heard on the commercial break, our What a Maneuver store is up and running, and I got my Tyler Ticker shirt, and it is fantastic. So please, please, please grab yourself a Tyler Ticker t-shirt or an Ivy Fans t-shirt or an OG It's Time to Rewind t-shirt, or you can get it as a baby onesie or a toddler tee, or you can get it as like a tank top or a hoodie, whatever. Go and get it at whatamaneuver.net and go grab yourself some Rewind gear. Also, as you heard on the break there, and Ivy is super excited about it, we are coming to Nashville. We will be at the CCW show in Nashville. Ivy will be making her debut with CCW. She will be there. The Temptress Witch will be doing her thing. We are super excited for that. If you are not watching on YouTube right now and you are listening to the podcast version of this, go and find the YouTube video. Make sure you hit the subscribe button while you're there and watch her promo because it is excellent. She has a great editor. All right. And so, folks, with all of that being said, the last thing I want to make sure I promote with you guys today is make sure you go listen to all the shows over at Sportinarium Radio at sportinarium.com. And big thank you to their sponsors, 1310 Apparel. You can find out all of their stuff at 1310.bigcartel.com. All right, my friends, let's jump right back into our interview here. I'm going to come back to the new mouth in the South, Mr. Tyler Peters, and we're all going to get one more question in before we run out of time here, folks. So make it your good question, all right? If you have something you want to get some fire, get some clickbait on, now's the time. All right, here we go.
Okay, Tiffany, educate everybody on how real wrestling is. I mean, taking that physicality. I mean, that's the problem I have. Just give it to us. I mean, bring the heat. Come on, clickbait. Come on, let's do it. Got a promo.
Well, oh man, Amy can answer this question herself. Amy very often gets in the ring, and when I'm practicing a move, she will be first to volunteer and say, "Hey, you can try that move on me if you want." I'm like, "Are you crazy? Are you sick? Like, what's wrong with you? Like,
beat me, Tiffany. Beat me."
It is so real.
There's the clickbait.
Like, there's so much on the line. What are you doing? She's like, "Come on, I'll take it. No problem." And she takes it. A lot of things, it is so real. I mean, if it wasn't real, I wouldn't have stopped working for 2 months because I broke my finger real. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a massage therapist, and every day I'm putting myself at risk knowing that I use my body. I'm sure as even Ivy can relate to, when you get in the ring, it is intense. My first week of training, I couldn't even swallow. Learning to take some moves, it's like constantly putting yourself in high trauma as like a car accident. There's a lot of ways to protect and be safe, but at the same time, the things we're doing every day, which I practice, CCW runs practice 4 times a week for about 4 hours sometimes. You have to be in the best shape ever, not only mentally, but physically, to endure a lot of techniques that we run through wrestling. Like I said, I broke a bone. I mean, there's many times where I'm in the tub crying just to feel, with no water and no ice in the tub, just to know what a hug feels like, because I just that's how real wrestling is, to be honest. And they're like, "What am I doing? Why? It hurts. I can't move." I've come very, 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 I'm a huge fan of cryotherapy and K-tape. That's how real it is. So.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah.
As someone that fights people for fun, I can wholeheartedly endorse that. The couple of bumps that I've taken, granted, I took some bumps on a cement floor with cardboard down, but the couple of bumps that I've taken, that's a story for off air. It's real, folks. It's the physicality of what is happening in that ring is incredible. And, give it to them, for crying out loud. It's fake. It's fake. Shut the fuck up.
Amen to that.
It is what it is.
I had someone go as far to write me. I don't know why they did this. Big mistake. They went to restricted really quickly in my DMs. But they wrote me saying, "FYI, sis, you need to remove pro wrestler in your bio until you get paid. You're a wrestler in training." And I just said, "Are you kidding me?" I know this will be clickbait. People will agree or disagree. You know, everyone has something to say, especially wrestlers. But it's like, especially wrestlers, you know, for as long as I've been training since August, I'll be damned if someone tells me I'm not a wrestler, because I'm putting in my dues every freaking week. And like everyone says who's a wrestler, wrestling owes me nothing. I owe everything to wrestling. And I'm constantly giving my sweat, blood, and tears and my body to that ring every damn week. And I'm telling you, my legs hurt, my arms hurt, my throat hurts, my mind hurts, my body hurts. I have K-tape all up and down my back, you know. Sometimes I got to call out of work as a therapist. I probably work 2 days a week compared to 7 days a week because my body can't do it. So it's like, I'll kill you in real life. That won't be fake when I kill you. Sorry. You see how this triggers me? So it's like, you get in the ring and you show up, you are a wrestler. Fight me if anyone wants to say any different. And I don't mean, when I say the word show up to the ring, I don't mean when you show up to the ring, that requires a lot showing up to the ring. And wrestlers know what I mean when I say you show up to the ring. So.
Hell yeah.
I love how you
Excellent.
put that. Like, I can really relate to that because, like, I can remember, like, some of the first bumps that I took. And, like, I was young. I was only 14. And I'd been in, like, fights and stuff in high school and all that. And, like, that does not even compare to some of, like, just the pain that I feel like I went through, like, those first few bumps. And, like, it was kind of one of those things where I want to say, like, within the first few months of, like, just training and stuff, I was like, oh, my God, like, I'm going to kill myself doing this. But and like I kind of faced a lot of that, like, oh, wrestling isn't real and blah blah blah, from kids that I went to high school with and, you know, everybody that came across my path. But it's like one of those things, I'm like, all right, it's not real, then get in the ring with me.
Absolutely.
Get in the ring with me.
You can fight all you want on the lunch table, but you've never taken a neck breaker, so I don't want to hear it. Okay, go for it. Go for it. Please show me, girl.
And like, even going into that, it's been so long since I've actually, like, taken a bump that I'm almost terrified to take one now, because
How are you feeling about your debut? Nashville's coming up, honey.
Girl, listen, I'm ready. I'm mentally prepared. If it happens, it happens. But, like, let's see, I'm kind of like, oh, damn, like, this might do me in.
Listen,
Woo, you'll do great. You'll be fine. It's muscle memory. Once you break the code of taking a bump, there's no undoing it, honey. There's no going back.
Very true. Very true.
listen,
Has
I
everyone
got
here
broken
taken
in.
a bump?
Huh?
Has everyone here taken a bump?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, once.
Yeah. Tyler took a
Tyler's
little
like,
bump.
just one.
Just
Hell
one.
yeah!
I can't, you know, speak to the physicality you all have, because I got a headbutt by Phoenicia.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. That sounds awful. I don't even want that.
well, my
I mean,
head's
we all
still
know-
hurting,
we
by
all
the way.
know
I believe
Big
it.
head. Big head, so I'm sure it hurt.
I got.
No, you know, contrary to belief, if you have a big head, it should hurt less, is what I think. Is what I think. Oh, poor Tyler.
Hey,
But,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I mean, listen, you took that bump and you took the fall, brother. So you took a bump. Don't
Yeah,
let
you
anyone tell you
definitely did.
didn't.
Oh, I know, and that's what I laugh about, and I'll give it to you guys. Is that's what kills me. You know, I have family or friends that say that, oh, it's fake. No, if you speak to them, it's very real. That's what aggravates me. They don't understand it. You know.
Listen, Ivy, if you're that nervous though, I mean, I got broken on a cement pad with cardboard boxes crushed up on it. So I've got carpet on the basement over here and room to take a bump. So you come on over, girl.
I mean, you know
We'll do
what?
some
We
bumps
might,
before we leave
we
for
actually
Nashville.
might have to do some bump training together before we hit Nashville, because
Yeah, girl.
it's been so long. I think I need a session.
That's what I was referencing. When I first learned how to bump, I couldn't swallow for like a week. I mean, I could, but
Yeah.
I was like, holy crap, did I get strep and in a car accident at the same time? What's happening here?
Man, last
And
week,
I'm going again today.
man, last
rough.
week we said cock a whole bunch of times, and this week we're talking about swallowing. What kind of show is this becoming? What the fuck?
What the heck? What the heck? You know, the best advice someone gave me is, when it comes to wrestling, it only hurts if you do it wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And when someone told me that, I immediately stopped being scared. I was like, I'm going to do it the best way I can. A bump land on my shoulders, and I'm just going to hit it hard. And I remember it felt great. I was like, wow, that hurts a lot less. Why have I not been doing it right? Like, why do I throw myself on my ass? It makes no sense. It doesn't even look good. Like, that's the only way it hurts, really.
I used to love, like, when I was in high school and, like, during, like, gym class, they would have the wrestling mats out. I would literally just like use that as moments to kind of like throw myself around so that I could like continue to stay used to taking the bumps, because like I said, those first initial bumps, I was like, oh my God. Like, so I know how you feel. Like, you literally feel like you're in a car accident. You can't move. Like, everything hurts all over. Ice baths help, but not like completely.
Can I ask, did anyone look at you like, what the heck is she going through that she's doing this?
Constantly. And it was really funny because we had like, in my high school, we had like our standard gym class, and then you had to take like an elective. So like, for some reason, they stuck me in aerobics with like a bunch of like little girls that were like, meh, like little 2-pound weights. And I'm like, no, like I want strength training. Like I want to be in with like where all the football players are. So I finally ended up getting moved to that. And like, I used to like roughhouse with boys all the time. I mean, I grew up with all boys. So like, that's kind of, you know, what I'm used to. And I actually got in there, and like some of the football players were like allowing me to like throw them around and like having them throw me around so that I could, you know, like work on things. And they
That
could
is
also
Ivy
get
fans
used to
content. Do not get
on
into
the
that.
field.
That's perfect.
What the hell?
I walked my ass right the fuck into that. Oh my God. Ugh, I hate it so much.
I'm looking at you like,
She's like, no, cut.
Perfection.
no, I'm glad you being thrown around helped you learn how to bump. And
I mean, I know how to bump a couple different ways.
oh, you hear that?
Uglies. All right. Coming.
Oh, that's
Ref
great.
Amy, you get the last question of the night here. I'm going to throw it to you one more time.
Oh man. All right.
Katie, wake up.
Yeah, my brain got zapped by that one. So tell us about your relationship with Leila Gray. Like, I understand you guys were friends before all this went down. Tell us what happened and how you got to this point that you are on Saturday.
Oh man, it really all started at Bash at the Brew 5 when things took a real like turn for the worse. And since then I've not talked to her at all. And closer to this match, I have heard nothing from her, which doesn't surprise me. She was really yippy yappy when it all came back full circle when I got her back at Bash at the Brew 6. But we were actually friends at first. I mean, I remember when she was coming to CCW at first, I was so welcoming. I was probably the most welcoming person to her. And I think in that moment, I'm not sure what's happening with the success. You know, she's a great wrestler. She's debuted a couple times at promotions all over. And of course, we all know about AEW. So she's really been upping her game, working with people that can really go with her. That I'm not sure at Bash at the Brew 5, you know, she won her match and she really kicked butt that match. And me stepping into the ring while her music was still playing really was something that triggered this, there's only room for one of us in this ring attitude. And from there, I mean, like everyone else, I was shocked that she even put her hands on me, honestly. So she put me in a really tough position to have to stick up for myself. And in the long run, I would love to see maybe some type of rekindle where, you know, I'm a forgiver. I'm huge in forgiving because I understand people make mistakes, and she's going to learn messing with me was one of her biggest mistakes. So that's where I'm at with Miss Leila Gray.
And friends, you when this airs, this show will have already passed, but you will be able to see this match on a live wrestling. Make sure that you check out a live wrestling every Tuesday night, 7:00 p.m. on YouTube. Jump in the chat. Ivy is always there talking to the rest of the CCW fam. And please go out and watch it. I think I'm wearing the Alive Wrestling t-shirt right now. Go watch that show. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to it, please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms at Rewind Podcast. And Tiffany, I just want to say a huge thank you so much for coming and joining us. I know that your schedule is busy and that you are getting ready for your very first match. We wish you all the skill in the world. I will never say luck to someone going out into that ring. So I wish you much skill and have a great time and enjoy yourself. And we look forward to having you back again in the future.
Thank you. I do want to say one thing to everyone who's watching this on YouTube right now. If you've ever felt like you've been the underdog or underestimated or feel like you didn't take that opportunity to stick up for yourself, this is going to be a match you're definitely going to want to tune into and you could find yourself connecting to. I will be sticking up for everyone who's ever felt like the underdog. So something you won't want to miss, Alive Wrestling, 7 o'clock all the time on Tuesdays. Thank you guys for having me. You all individually were awesome personalities, and I hope this isn't the last time we get to speak.
Oh, it definitely will not be. It definitely will not be. Thank you so much for joining us. And on behalf of Ivy, Tyler, and Amy, and in their absence, OG Will and Nelio, we thank you so much for joining us here on the Rewind Wrestling Radio Show, and we will catch you next time.
Woo!